Well, Fox News has taken a turn, ladies and gentlemen. They seem to have made a conscious internal decision to not favor Donald Trump anymore.
I don't think Fox News was ever that behind Donald Trump. I mean, there's a few people at Fox News who are
What? Who is this person, dude? Fox News wasn't all that favorable to Donald Trump? What? What is he, crazy? Is he out of his mind? Have you watched Fox News? Oh, God. Ay. This is going to be insane to watch.
But as an organization, I mean, remember, they were very hostile to him in the Republican primary. He wasn't the Fox News guy. Jeb Bush was the Fox News guy.
Did nothing happen between the primaries in the past 4 years? I'm so confused. Did you watch Fox News during the primaries? Fall asleep for the past 4 years in the coma? Just woke up tonight? And only specifically watch like broadcasts during the day with like Brett Baer and stuff, where they do more serious news reporting for the most part, and failed to watch any of the commentary sessions at night? Well, he is wearing a Libertarian Institute shirt, so obviously he's very smooth up there. You can probably see yourself in the reflection. I mean, that shit is probably sandpapered down.
See that article again? This is interesting. Ex-Hunter Biden associates records don't show. But what does that mean?
So, like, that's why they flipped? Like, that's why they're centrist now? Is that what it is? Basically, what you're saying is, like, as a conservative, if Fox News is not universally just saying that this entire election is a farce and any number of different, like, psychotic conspiracies, for example, that means that they're centrist and they hate Donald Trump, which is an insane take, especially considering the fact that they are literally still defending Donald Trump. I mean, Laura Ingraham just had, the Watergate Andy also doing that deep voice or fake voice poll watcher in Nevada. So very clearly, Fox News is still in on the conspiracy. They're not gonna let go of their monies, because Donald Trump is very successful at captivating the Republican.
But listen to this. Ex-Hunter Biden's associates' records don't show proof of Biden business relationship amid unanswered questions. That doesn't mean much.
No, well, what he claimed was that, and they're saying Joe Biden, that he couldn't prove Joe Biden was, it's a very confusing title.
Wait, so is this guy actually a libertarian who's pro-Donald Trump? Like, because I was just making fun of these clowns earlier today. So how incredible. It's just that I was just making fun of libertarians earlier today on Twitter. Who are like anti-police state and anti-authoritarianism, but then and believe in freedom of travel, freedom of movement, the right to be able to work wherever you want to. Like, that's what libertarianism was about, like full-blown drug decriminalization, and in edge cases about arguing whether or not you could sell your child into sex trafficking. Libertarians who then turn around and they're like, actually, Donald Trump is great, when he's literally the opposite. Like, he ran on the opposite of libertarian principles. Like, he literally ran on the opposite of libertarian principles in every way. There is not a... Neoliberals are closer to libertarianism. Democrats are closer to libertarianism in principles than Donald Trump is.
Again, I think it's a kind of run-of-the-mill political scandal, that aspect of it.
Yeah.
The bigger thing is like that this goes on all over the place.
Right.
The conflicts of interest, the corruption, where you see where Obama, was spoke after he's president, we get like $400,000 or something like that for a speech in front of bankers. And he was the guy who like presided over the bank bailout. Yep. And then you get out and it's like, oh, here's what the bankers really just wanted to hear Barack Obama speak.
Wait, this guy can't be a Trump supporter, right? Like, there's no way. Like, you can't be like Obama bad, but then be like, no, but Trump man good. Like, Trump literally unrolled some of the minimal regulatory burdens that the Obama administration put in place in 2008. So, like, you literally can't have this take. Like, Trump's Republican Party did this.
And another thing that I thought was really weird from the press. So I saw it twice now. Was on MSNBC and CNN, where he was giving a press conference saying how the votes were stolen from him and the system was unfair. And they cut away. They say, we will not show this because he's lying. And then just the other day on Fox News, Neil Cavuto cut away from Trump's press secretary saying there was voter fraud. And he goes, well, we can't verify that, so we can't air this. And it's like, look, man, whatever you want to say, this is a story.
Right.
Do you not consider what's going on right now to be a bit of a problem? Because if you think that the media should be irresponsible and like consistently offer coverage to lies from bad faith actors who purposely and deliberately are misinforming the public in an effort to really like get these psychopathic chuds to fully subscribe to this idea that the election is stolen when all evidence says no, it's not stolen, when there is zero evidence whatsoever that the election was fraudulent or stolen. Then the media should just offer that full-blown relentless coverage. I'm so confused. Like, what are they supposed to do? Why isn't the media showing this? Is so silly. This is what they're supposed to fucking do. It's one of these circumstances where they actually get it right. And it's not like they point the camera away and then not talk about it. They've been talking about this shit literally nonstop for the past couple of days. They've literally nonstop been talking about how all of these are lies, okay? And it's good. They're doing actual coverage on it. Why is the media not giving a platform to Flat Earth Society? Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what you sound like.
Fraud.
Do you find it odd that everybody insists that it's impossible to vote like safely and accurately online?
Yes, I find that odd. I also find it really, really odd that we overhauled the way we do voting in this country, and that now it's almost an entirely different process where both candidates are getting way more votes than they would normally get.
Libertarian, by the way. A right libertarian against, having more democracy. Wow, color me surprised, folks. I love hearing from libertarians who actually try to make an argument that it's bad that more people are voting. Like, this, dude, you're crazy. Like, you're a crazy person. And that's precisely why there is a pipeline from libertarians of fascism, which is the joke I was making earlier. Because they go, I want to be a libertarian. Okay, I want to control all of my means of my own production, and also have my own land and be able to control it and whatever, Wild Wild West style. And then they recognize that, like, oh, that's not going to happen. So they're like, fuck it. I'll just let the government do it for me. I'll just let the government fight my battles for me.
Like, if we can bank online, we should be able to vote online. And doesn't it seem like if you could use like Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or something like that and go buy something, you use your fingerprint. It's
super famous that the banks notoriously never get hacked. Like, there's no way to intercept your payment processor. So, that would never be able to happen on a mass scale at a time when there's an election or something like that. So it's a good take. This is actually a good take. These are the same people who shit on vote by mail, by the way. Just remember, they shit on vote by mail because they shit on vote by mail, which is analog. And they shit on that because they think like, oh, well, someone will be able to intercept the mail and like change the results. Meanwhile, they're like, why can't we do it over the internet? It's like, dude, it is literally less secure. Like, that is one avenue where you, doesn't matter where the fuck you are on the planet, can literally break in and change the outcome of something without even people figuring out that it happened.
We have to basically, like, 10,000 votes in Wisconsin is going to determine which half of the country is furious and which half is like elated because they get to rule over the other half now. And then hopefully in 4 years they can be happy and you're miserable because they get to rule over you now. It's so bizarre. Democracy in general is a very bizarre process. To have it in a country this big with this powerful of a government, it makes it insane.
Wait, what does he want? Is he advocating for a parliamentary system? Because if so, I'm on board. If he's advocating for a multi-party system that is based off of proportional voting and not necessarily a fucking electoral college type system that's completely anti-democratic, then yeah, no, I go off king. This is actually a take that I agree with. But he's a libertarian, so I don't know what he's trying to say.
But I think that, truthfully, I think it's kind of a silver lining that at least people are starting to be aware of that. People are starting to go like, okay, I know that these institutions are not to be trusted. Because truthfully speaking, they got, it's like I was saying to you before we started, where it's like for all the shit that people give Alex Jones, he got all of the biggest stories right over the last 20 years. Yeah. And I'm not saying he didn't get anything wrong, but...
Dude, come on. Dude, what is this, dude? Like, was Sandy Hook a little story in that universe then? When he just kept saying like Sandy Hook was a psyop, was a black flag, a false flag operation, and that those kids didn't actually die?
big things like, should we go to war in Iraq?
Yeah.
Should we bail out bankers? Should all of this? He called these as lies and corruption right away. And the New York Times.
But he's a Trump supporter. Like, now he's gone against all of those previous takes, I guess. I mean, listen, a broken clock rings true twice a day. You feel me? So he was bound to hit some of the correct tones about like government surveillance. That's why I say I think Alex Jones is a CIA psyop. I think that like he is there to pollute the airwaves with some correct takes and a load of such horribly wrong takes that like no one will take into consideration the times when he is correct. It's a way to cast doubt on statements like the government is surveilling you nonstop. We do live under a surveillance state. That's the truth. However, Alex Jones says that and then follows up with, well, the billionaires are pedophile vampires, interdimensional psychic pedophile vampires.
They're psychic vampires stealing the energy from the kids.
How are you going to take anything else he said seriously if you're not brain diseased? Yeah, he didn't even say some of the issues. He said all of the major issues of the past 20 years, which is insane.
Well, they call other news fake news. So they'll say...
The New York Times doesn't.
Well, the New York Times may not, but I'm speaking in the corporate press in general.
Right.
They'll say like, well, there's fake news out on the internet. And even the New York Times has done stories about how social media companies need to do more to, combat fake news on the internet and things like that.
But they're talking about like super hardcore QAnon type shit.
Well, kind of. I mean, it starts with that, and then they'll use that as an example, but then usually they also go to other things like, look, this New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop was called fake news from the day it came out to the...
But it was like, what? I'm so confused. Like, I think that the New York Times and all other mainstream outlets 100% sometimes in unison purposefully operate as a branch of the government that basically pumps out State Department propaganda. Look no further than the way that the New York Times is still covering Evo Morales, for example. Like, there's someone out there that's doing international politics that's at the New York Times is just straight the up like thinks that a coup is going to happen, so an inevitable coup is going to happen. They're cushioning up for it. Okay, it happens quite frequently on issues where there is bipartisan consensus. But the New York Times didn't cover Hunter Biden foot job, or more importantly, when they covered it, they said that this is not necessarily real or something we can take seriously. Well, that's a little different. Now, I was one of the first people that even argued with with people in my chat, libs in my chat, about the Hunter Biden laptop, and I told you it's very likely Hunter Biden's iCloud or some shit getting owned, and there is certainly real footage there after it got owned, being dumped into a hard drive somewhere, and then suspiciously making its way to Rudy Giuliani by way of a QAnon supporting or MacBook repair shop owner. I admit that the information on there was legitimate. It's just what you do with that information is, of course, entirely different. If you look at that information and be like, Hunter Biden's doing crack, yeah, that's real. He did. Or he has a nice cock. Yeah, that's true. Okay, if you saw it, he's a nice cock. But if you look at that information and say, well, this proves that he was dealing with Ukraine and getting Joe Biden kickbacks from the Ukrainian government or some shit, or from Burisma, well, no, that's false. That's literally not true. That is demonstrably not true. The New York Times shouldn't say that it is just because it makes you fifis feel better.
Not only would all of the corporate press not report on it, but that social media companies were banning the link, and Twitter froze the New York Post's Twitter account.
One of the CNN journalists on Twitter called it Russian disinformation.
Yes, a bunch of people called it Russian disinformation.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm fairly certain it was Russian disinformation, and I'm an anti-Russiagate Andy. Okay, I am not even remotely surprised if it was, and I do think it is still to this day a classic Russian ops. Like, it's just what you make of it. Who the hacked into Hunter Biden's laptop? I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same people that were able to hack into the DNC and RNC and make its way to WikiLeaks. Like, I don't think that that's like that suspicious, unless you literally believe that like Hunter Biden flew from Los Angeles to Delaware, left his laptop there at this like random QAnon repair shop, and then that QAnon repair shop guy was like, oh, well, this is Hunter Biden's laptop. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Ooh, better send this to the FBI while also making a hard copy of the hard drive And then, oh, FBI's not doing anything about it. Well, I guess I should give it to Rudy fucking Giuliani, who will now be the sole like owner of this information and refuses to show it to everybody and only sends it out in small batches of the fucking New York Post, which all the people that were releasing this information didn't want to have their names associated with it on the byline, literally because of how unfalsified most of this stuff was. But hey, no, all of that is still, despite all of these things that happened, despite all these irregularities, despite the fact that there were so many different hurdles along the way, it's probably still real. I want to believe the Fox News narrative. You are basically, not even the Fox News narrative, sorry, even the Wall Street Journal op-ed page, which has in the past literally advocated for Jair Bolsonaro and also Pinochet, for that matter, two fascists, have said that this was too much. The Hunter Biden laptops were far too much for them. That was a step that they wouldn't take. Despite all of that, if you are still under the assumption that this is real shit and it came out exactly the way that Rudy Giuliani, who is very clearly not an honest actor, then, you know, you got to get your head checked out a little bit. Yeah, it was not Russian but Chinese, though, as in the CPC, but a billionaire Chinese exile named Guo Wengui. Yeah, the speculation is that it's linked back to the same billionaire oligarch that Steve Bannon was on the yacht of when he got arrested by the boys in the blue, the real boys in the blue, aka the U.S. Postal Service, for wire fraud. That person's like media network was the only place where you could find the Hunter Biden pornography and whatnot, and they were constantly 24/7 spamming that.
Well, look, it's basically been verified that this was Hunter Biden's laptop. I mean, within any reasonable standard for a journalist to verify something. I mean, number one, the Bidens didn't deny it. Like, nobody actually came out and denied that this was.
Yeah, because very clearly he got owned, okay? Why would they come out and be like, oh, the videos where my son's getting a foot job while smoking crack? Yeah, let's deny it or confirm it one way or the other. Like, that's so stupid. Also, none of this has anything to do with Joe Biden. Like, Hunter Biden running around doing whatever the fuck he wants to does not reflect on Joe Biden. Like, I don't understand how this is like a conversation that we're still having. Oh, God.
About Hunter Biden, who is very clearly a swamp creature, who was selling his father's name to rake in money from foreign companies. Now, truth be told, that's a kind of run-of-the-mill scandal as far as politics go.
Normal.
It's normal. Every senator's kid, family, wife, they all do stuff like this all the time. It's a corrupt swamp, you know? But it's a story, nonetheless.
We don't even know if it's fucking legal to cover half the shit. It's like when the fappening happened. You remember when, like, all the celebrities got owned and then, you know, all of their fucking nudes and shit leaked on the internet? And the coverage was around, like, not covering the stories or not showing any of that. And the reason for that was because it's hacked material that is supposed to be kept private. Like, now, I don't have an issue with hacked material as long as it's credible and as long as it's verified material that is in the interest of the public to know. Hunter Biden's cock getting rubbed by someone's fucking foot soles is not public. It is not in the interest of the public. Okay? It's just not. Hunter Biden's asshole is not in the public interest. It's just not.